Welcome back to another episode of ETCISO. This episode is powered by Zscaler. Now, for years, cybersecurity leaders were seen primarily as defenders, focused on stopping threats and managing risk. But that role is changing fast. Now, today, CISOs are increasingly expected to think like business leaders, using data and AI to drive resilience while enabling innovation across the enterprise. To explore this shift, I'm joined in by Jimmy Tanothra. He's Specialist Account Executive at Zscaler, and Anup Tongaonkar, Group CISO at Aditya, Birla Fashion and Retail. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us for this conversation today. Now, starting with you, sir, the role of security leaders at this point in time is shifting from pure defenders to now being strategic business leaders. So talk to us to set the context for our audiences. How is the CISO role evolving in that direction?
No, absolutely. I think gone are the days where CISOs used to have some policies and they used to place those statement that okay, this is need to be done for policy compliance. I think things have moved from compliance towards real business requirements. And with the emergence of cloud, APIs, now Gen AI, things are a bit complex and business want to explore. There is no way a CISO can just take the book and set the rules. Here you need to understand the business context, see the requirement, accordingly look for solutions in the market. So you have to preempt also how the market is moving and accordingly what the business requirement would come up. And then based on that, you can certainly give an assurance to the business that you are in right hands. So I think the role has evolved a lot. I think it is 360-degree which has evolved.
And we'll perhaps talk about all of this in the during the course of our conversation. Well, Jimmy, if we can come into the conversation, we know that data is now at the center of most digital enterprises. So how does this change the way now how organizations approach cybersecurity and resilience?
Sure. What happened lately is there are a few compliances which has come into the picture. There were always compliances with respect to data, whether we talk about SBI, IRDI, or multiple other compliances. But with DPDP coming into the act, India has become a little more serious on the data security aspect of it. The reason is we are trying to save 1.4 billion people data, and where it is going, how it is traveling, whether it is within the country or wherever it is going, we need to basically have a right protection there. So data was always a concerning part. Now it is expedited or basically speed up onto another level where we have to meet the compliances. Talking about data security from a compliance and security point of view both, data can be relying anywhere. It could be there on cloud, it could be there on endpoint, it could be there on email or say SaaS-based application, unlike olden days where we know that data is residing on one place. Hence, the data security is the core aspect which every organization is looking at.
Let's move to AI as well, because when we talk about this is the world where we are in, data plus AI, right? So AI is also transforming both sides of cybersecurity, like both attackers and defenders are on the same page at this point in time. So how are security teams using AI to strengthen the defense and decision making?
Sure. So let me first talk about the AI as attacker. Now, we see that AI is for both. Both are using that AI. If we talk about attackers, they are using those codes to develop vulnerabilities on the fly and create exploits to basically attack various organizations. As a defender, we are internally from a security aspect of it adopting AI in a larger way to defend or make our solutions better. Talking about the data security, earlier the data classification was a manual process. Second approach happened where the further tools came out with the data classification technologies, tagging mechanism. If we talk about today, today we see AI doing all the data classification through LLMs. So yes, both in terms of attacker, the way they are scaling up, I think security industry is taking our step ahead in adopting AI as a technology to protect our customers.
Yeah, absolutely, sir. If we can come into the conversation, security leaders at this point in time today are expected to support the business growth also and not just make decisions, right? So, and not just also manage risk like earlier they used to do. So, how can CISOs align security strategies with those business outcomes?
Well, I think, as I said, the CISO role has evolved a lot.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
the technology understanding and operational issues are paramount nowadays to really enable the business. Strategic level, if you operate well and you decide how exactly your strategy would be, which can be business aligned, and obviously that helps in driving the business growth very quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, for example, when we talk about AI, obviously there are so many requests that are coming in, okay, for AI based application. Now my job is not only to say that okay there is some risk around it, but also to see what exactly the business requirement is. So now the CISO role is now looking at more business specific use cases and getting more understanding on business, and then developing those strategies so that it can be a business enabler. No more it can be just by only the risk perspective. Obviously this perspective stays as is, but a business perspective also is equally important.
Yeah. And now, with the volume of security data which is growing rapidly, talk to us about, both of you, how can organizations turn that data into actionable insights also? And now that AI has also come into the picture, we'll start with you only.
Yeah, I think AI is evolving. I would not say it's perfect because we are still in a semi-agentic AI where AI autonomous is still a long way to go. Long way, and this is maybe 2-3 years. Okay, but yeah, there is currently a lot of use cases that are cropping up, and I believe in security space, AI is something which was an awaited boon. Okay, and obviously when we talk about data classification or maybe SIEM related alerts, which were tons, now the AI here can give a lot of guidance to the analyst to zoom in what is the exact attack that is getting targeted, and then accordingly suggest the recommendation. Same is with even vulnerability assessment. So we can prioritize what are the critical vulnerabilities, which are the assets which are vulnerable, and accordingly you can do the mitigation strategy. So I think AI is evolving, and it is applicable to each and everything. While the business is using AI, similarly security is using AI, and obviously as Jimmy said rightly, even the attackers are using AI. So it depends on who wins.
Yeah, Jimmy, if we can come into the conversation. Yeah,
I would second that with Anup. When we talk about large data, how we are using AI. So of course the trajectory was, first we used to look at the data manually, work on it. So the second part came the data science, and of course now LLMs and AI can do that correlation and get a meaningful output out of those those data. Is amazing what we see. But the concerning fact is how we are training those LLMs. There's no key button which says right click and delete. So we should be very conscious in terms of what we are uploading to LLMs, because eventually that's our sensitive data. So I feel, yes, technology is going way advanced, and we'll see that adoption quite a lot. But at the same time, we should have security at back of our mind.
Yeah. So then what capabilities should organizations, prioritize if they truly want to build a cyber, cyber resilient company using both data and AI?
Yeah. So I feel the more AI adoption happens, private LLMs, subscribed LLMs in any organization, I think organizations should start putting AI guardrails around it. There are a lot of examples where the confidential data is being uploaded to ChatGPT kind of solutions to have a better output, maybe a company report, maybe a revenue report, where quarter is not even disclosed. Happened with a lot of organizations in US and India both. I think that way the companies should start adopting not just AI but AI security as well.
Yeah. All right. Now, as we're moving towards the end of the conversation, sir, if you can also pitch in, looking ahead, what will define a successful security leadership in a world where AI and both data, drive almost every business decision?
Well, I think it is very hard to really imagine how exactly things will move. As Jimmy said, over reliance also is an issue with AI at this point. Okay, the business use cases are now coming up, and it will really how the top line it can add it to the top line and the value chain is something which is being now looked at.
Yeah.
From a security perspective, obviously we need to see that how visibility and how we can secure the LLMs. So one is the visibility part, that what are the users are accessing the AI on SaaS, while how whether there have been shadow LLMs being used in my organization where there is a possibility of a data leakage. So considering that, we have to start small, be choosy about it when we are giving access to AI, and slowly move towards maturity. It will also depend upon it's a cultural shift ultimately when you're talking about data and AI.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously you have to build the culture, make your organization enough mature to really get the benefit from AI. I think that's what I could see, that while there are technology interventions that would happen, parallelly there has to be a cultural shift of how to use the data and how to use AI for business outcomes. And then probably that would define the next wave which will come.
All right. Yeah. Do you want to add?
Just to add on to that, I always say one thing whenever a new technology takes over: watch, analyze, action. So there are solutions in the market like ASPM, which can have you watch, analyze on what your AI is doing, how much of risk you're carrying, and of course, then put AI guard on top of it for an action to make sure you have a right appropriate protection.
All right, that's where we would like to end our conversation today. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen, for being a part of this discussion. And to our viewers, stay tuned for many, many more such interesting conversations only at ETCISO.